So today we're going to be checking out and reviewing the chair that I'm actually sitting in right now, which is the OdinLake O2 Ergo chair, which quite frankly is a fantastic work from home chair, and I'm excited to tell you more about it. Let's get to it. Let me tell you the story about how this chair wound up in my home office. You all know me as a massage therapist. I don't normally think of myself as somebody who does a lot of office work, but as the owner of a business, I've actually had a lot more administrative work on my plate this year, and I've wound up doing a lot more work from home and a lot more stuff at my home office, at my desk, than I'm used to doing. And so I really decided this year to get into the market for a much better upgrade to my home office, and was really looking around for a new ergonomic chair. And as it turned out, this company OdinLake saw our channel and wanted us to review their chair. So they offered to send us this chair in exchange for a review. To be clear, OdinLake is not sponsoring this video. They did, however, send us this chair for free, so please use that to factor in any biases you feel that may have over the review. However, I made sure to have an agreement with them that I would get to have my honest opinion in this review, and they have no say in what I'm going to say about the chair. So as I said, I am doing a lot more office work as a business owner than I'm used to doing as a massage therapist. Most of the time I don't really sit a lot. I stand, I do my work at the massage table, I sit, I stand, I sit, I stand. I don't really spend a lot of time at the computer, but as a business owner, especially with a business now with almost 30 employees, I have found that I am spending a lot more time at my desk, at the computer, and really did need to think about getting my work from home station a lot more tight for my own body, and thinking more like an office worker and more like the clients that I work with all day. And so I also have an autoimmune disorder called psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain. And so I've cycled through a number of chairs in my last decade. My wife would laugh at the number of chairs that she's seen me try out, like for a little while, and then kind of like cycle out and try something new. And so I had a chair in my office for the last year that was fine when I was only putting in 15-20 minutes at a time doing admin work, but wasn't really going to cut it now that I'm having to spend more like 2 or 3 hour blocks of a day doing admin work. And so I really did need something new. Enter this OdinLake chair. So what I will say now, having had the chair now a month, is it's really fantastic. And I do think it's a very great value for the chair. It is very comfortable. I, in fact, find that one of my main critiques of it is that it's so comfortable that I have to retrain myself to take more breaks than I'm used to. In general, with my psoriatic arthritis joint pain, I do not have to remember to take breaks like I often have to teach my clients to have to remember to take breaks. Most of my clients, they get into the zone at work and they don't get up from their chair for 4 to 6 to 8 hours. Me, if I sit for more than 20-30 minutes, my joints will scream at me and I will have to get up no matter what. However, I have found that in this chair, I can go through an hour or two without realizing that I've been sitting that long, and so I've had to actually change my routine, which is probably a really good testament to how good and comfortable the design of this chair for ergonomics really is. And let that factor in for yourselves, because if I'm comfortable in it, it probably means that you'll be very comfortable in it too. It was fairly easy to put together, and it doesn't really require any tools. It came with one big Allen wrench, and for the most part, really easy. It took me about 30 minutes. I will say that there were a couple bolts that the access to get in there and turn it did require lying on the floor and coming up from a weird angle, and was a little frustrating. Nothing that probably any other chair wouldn't also have you, frustrated with as well, but all in all, not particularly hard to put together. I would say the build quality is really excellent throughout for the most part, with a couple of small caveats that I'll get into. But the main features of it in terms of the casters and the base and the reclining are all really, really solid and feel excellent. You don't feel like the base will fall out from underneath you, and here I can show you that it actually has very smooth reclining ability, which is quite nice, I can tell you. On all of the mechanisms for the main functions of the chair feel quite smooth and quite solid and very, very solid, which is very nice. There are a couple smaller adjustable things that feel a little less solid, let's say, which doesn't matter as much because once you get them into the place that you like them to be, it's probably not gonna require a lot of adjusting. So let's get into some of the features. So obviously the main one that one would really go after and I would love is just this ability to fully recline backwards. It allows you to take a little bit of a break on your back. If you've really been sitting up and staring at the screen a lot, just being able to go back and like give your eyes a break, give your back a break, stop and think for a second. Very nice feature. You can also lock that in place sitting up to prevent yourself from being able to do that so that you don't. Let's say a lot of people might start typing here, which would not be very good ergonomics because then you'll pull your head back. You can actually lock the chair and prevent yourself from doing that and not recline, so that's very nice. But you can also recline back and then lock it in a reclined position if you were working or let's say talking on the phone and you don't want to worry about it. Also very nice. But in general, just leaving it open is very nice. Just being able to move around and just be able to not be locked into one place. It's just a very nice thing to be able to do for your body and not get stuck all day in one position. The feel of how hard or soft it is to recline, it is actually adjustable with this piece here. I've got it set on the looser side right now, but if you wanted to make it a little bit more difficult or a little easier to recline, you can change that, and that is a very solid mechanism and doesn't feel very clunky. The locking mechanism for the recliner feels very solid as well, as does the ability to like raise the chair or lower the chair. I would say this right here is the lowest setting, and I have to say I'm 6'1", and this on its lowest setting is just a little too low for me, so I would be perhaps a bit skeptical that somebody who was 5'6" or shorter would not need some kind of a footrest to be able to use this chair if the chair were too low. So that would be one potential thing. I wouldn't call that a make or break thing. You might need a footrest anyway with other chairs, but I was a little surprised how not low the chair could go and how tall the chair tends to be, you know. So that was one thing that sort of surprised me because I'm a taller person. I'm perfectly happy with it, obviously, as a tall person, but as a shorter person, you might find that you would need an add-on footrest for your feet to be able to use the chair comfortably without having your feet just dangle. There is another lever here that also sets the base in terms of how far or back or forward the back of the chair is, and that is easy, very solid piece and very comfortable to figure out where that is. So all those main functions of how the main parts of the chair form to your seated position are very solid and well designed and a very good build quality. And I say that all because then there's some other pieces that are feel a little less clunky, or a little more clunky, I should say. Starting with the armrests, which have really great features. For instance, the ability to pull the armrests into this position is very nice when you're typing. Being able to pull the armrests from out here into that position puts your hands in a very nice typing position, and having instead of having the armrest there where they're cutting into your forearms, you actually have it fully under your arms in the typing position. Very nice. And that's reasonably smooth. But when you start to get into the ability to pull them forward or back, that's not as smooth as the rest of the mechanisms. It's not bad, but it's just not as slick as some of the main features. The other thing is the ability to raise and lower. That's pretty smooth. I don't really find that I want them higher than this. Some people might. I guess if somebody was really tall, they would find that. But again, for me, I'd rather have it as low as possible. And I'm not quite sure why somebody would want to have their arms out here, but there is the ability to do that as well. The one thing that I absolutely love about this chair that I have not found in other chairs is the headrest. And I wasn't sure I would like it. I absolutely hate headrests in cars. I usually find them to be very poorly shaped for me and my neck. The placement of the bump is all wrong and pushes your head into a weird position and it feels uncomfortable. However, this one, you can really change the height for one, and I've got mine set to a place, but the thing that I think is really ideal is that you can actually change the angle here. The ability to roll this headrest and change the angle means that you can actually find a place to support different parts of your neck and your head position. So let's say that you're on the phone talking to somebody, you don't really need your eyes forward. You can actually roll it back a little bit and give your head and neck a rest and actually use it more like a pillow, which is really comfortable. Or if you need your eyes forward, you can change the angle and really have it really support your head into this eyes forward position so that you don't feel like you have to crane your head forward. And I just think it's a really excellent design, and I haven't found it in other chairs, so it's really great. It does have the ability to raise and lower. That is a little clunky, but once you find the right height, there's a little screw that you can tighten in the back to keep it in the right place. And then once you've got that set in the right place back there, it feels really nice. I've got this lumbar support set where I like it, and I don't often change it, but every once in a while you might find that this curve here feels uncomfortable, or you decide you need a break from that position. You can, with this lever back here, shift it, and it will just subtly change the height and position of this a little bit and just change the tuck and angle of your pelvis slightly, and that just gives a break to certain pelvic muscles that you've got and certain lumbar and back muscles. And again, that just ability to slightly shift your posture differently throughout the day, I think is really important. So a couple more pieces about the chair. So there's this 3-section backrest, which is super comfortable. This piece I've shown a little bit about how it can adjust slightly forward, but the whole backrest can lift up a little bit, and there's 5 very subtle positions. So I'm just going to lift up once, again, and if you go all the way up and then back down, you can drop to the bottom. Personally, I have just found that set number 2 is the right position for me, and that brings the lumbar section just a little bit higher for me, and then just is like the perfect height for everything in the back. And that actually makes this section support my mid-back and shoulders a little bit better. So that's just one more feature of the chair that just makes it more moldable to your own body. That's really kind of a cool feature that I haven't seen on other chairs. So that's one more thing. And then the very last kind of subtle but kind of fun thing is this built-in valet hanger, right? And so if you have a suit hanger or you have a suit jacket, you actually have a built-in hanger you can pop your suit on just like that. I don't wear suits, but for the clients who do, or for people who do, this is a nice little built-in feature. And lastly, it's a pretty substantial heavy chair, so there's this weird built-in handle that allows you to wheel it around the office. You can also see here that this whole thing is very, very strong and sturdy, and that they have this dual frame design here. So this piece strongly fits into this piece, and I can tell you it feels very, very strong and sturdy. I've reclined in it and rolled around in it for months now, and I don't feel any sense that it would ever not feel sturdy. One more feature here, and this is fun. I will say from a sturdiness, this last feature is a little bit not as easy to deal with, but this has a pull-out footrest. So I'm gonna try to unlock it and get it. There we go. Okay. So between the recliner and the footrest, you can actually, and my office is small, go into full-on just zone out mode here, and it's pretty nice, I have to say. So that's a pretty nice, fun little feature, and I think it's only an extra $30. So that's really cool. And the very last feature, which I hope to never have to need, because it is a very sturdy feeling chair, is they do offer a 15-year warranty. So given the price of the chair, I feel like that is a really big selling point. I feel good about that. So the list price on this chair is $899. I think that's a great value. When you compare this chair to a lot of higher end kind of Herman Miller type chairs that can cost 2 to 3 times as much, I've sat in a bunch of those. I think this is just as comfortable, if not more comfortable. And with the feature set, I think for your health, it's a really good value. You're going to be able to mold the chair to your own body in a way that most chairs don't really allow for. And that in and of itself is going to really reap dividends in terms of how you feel day to day, and probably pay for itself in less chiropractic visits, less massages, and less visits to your doctor. This is for anybody who works long hours at your desk, or even medium hours at your desk. Absolutely worth every penny. You will thank yourself by treating yourself and spending a little bit more than you might think for a chair. If you're in the market for an ergonomic chair for work from home or for your office, definitely try out the OdinLake O2 Ergo chair. OdinLake is actually running a special right now off the chair. And if you use our code Bodyworks5, you can even get 5% off that. You can find an affiliate link in the description below, and it really helps our channel at no cost to you, so thank you. In closing, I don't do a lot of product reviews, and I, in general, don't look to do that unless they're things that I think would really help our clients at Bodyworks DW. But I have said to my clients for the past 2 decades to spend your money on the things that you use the most, whether it's your bed or your chair or your shoes, because if you're sitting in something for long hours, or you're walking in something for long hours, or you're sleeping in something or your pillow for that matter, spending your money on the thing that is going to be the most comfortable is going to give you the most bang for your buck compared to almost anything else that you could do for yourself. And so thinking about it that way, and thinking that $800 to $900 for a chair that you're going to use for the next 10 to 15 years, and that is going to have your back and your neck and your shoulders feel probably 20% at minimum better, if not 50 to 80% better, it's kind of a no-brainer. So that is the kind of product that I will get behind as a massage therapist, and that's one of the reasons that I thought to actually do this video about this chair specifically. And so I wouldn't bother doing it if I weren't going to actually sit in this chair now for the foreseeable future myself, and if I wasn't really believing that I think it would be a good chair for you. So I hope that helps. And of course, if you're dealing with any kind of back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and you're in New York City, by all means, check out the description below for a link to our studio and book yourself a massage. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day.